Hello, and thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. My name is Dr. Sylvia Black, licensed real estate broker with affordable homes and apartments. I'm licensed to preach and ordained as a minister, and I have my master's degree in sacred theological divinity. And I want to thank you for joining me for Real Estate, Religion, and You, which airs every Wednesday right here on the timeline of Public Access TV Channel 20. Wednesdays 6:30 to 7 in the evening, and Saturdays from 12:30 to 1 in the afternoon. And I'd like to thank you for joining me. My name is Dr. Sylvia Black, and I am your host. And today we'd like to talk to you on a continued basis of my new book, Blood-Sucking Banks. And this is probably what the cover is going to look like. It's a little more easier to read. It's called Blood-Sucking Banks. And basically what it is try to teach you and show you how you can keep the banks from sucking your money dry in overdraft fees and in other charges as well. Now, last week we had left off at some of the reasons why we overdraft in the first place and what an actual overdraft really is. Okay, and we're going to continue from there. Why do overdrafts occur? Okay, an overdraft occurs when money is withdrawn from a bank's account and the available balance goes below zero, or it goes below the amount of money that you have in your bank, and therefore you have the need to use the bank's money. Okay, in this situation, the account is said to have been overdrawn. If there is a prior agreement with the account provider, which is your blood-sucking bank, okay, for an overdraft, and the amount overdrawn is within the authorized limit, then interest is normally charged at an agreed-upon rate. If the negative balance exceeds the agreed terms, okay, then additional fees may be charged and higher interest rates may apply. And we talked a little bit about some of the ways that they charge you. Overdraft fees usually come in the amount of approximately, in the average should be $27 across the board per transaction. So that means that even if you use a penny of the bank's money, you are going to pay that set overdraft fee charge, $25.27. Okay, and in this book I'm going to show you how you can fight against overdraft fees, how you can fight and win. Okay, basically how you can, just fight your way through so that, you can win and get your money back. A lot of times though, these banks have already charged an enormous amount of money, and as a result of that, your account is already, in an uproar. You've lost out on other bills that were supposed to have been paid, and some of the things just didn't go right. One thing after the other probably led to you being behind in one bill or another. You may have even had to go to court to keep from getting put out. You may have had to make a payment arrangement with your gas and electric company so that you could keep your gas and lights on while these banks suck you dry. Now we're going to continue briefly with some of the reasons why overdrafts occur. Okay, I'm talking about my book, Blood-Sucking Banks, which will be available on Amazon.com, Lulu.com, and CreateSpace.com, and on a website that I'll be giving you soon, and at a bookstore near you. Praise God. Now, another reason why overdrafts occur is called playing the float. The account holder makes a debit while insufficient funds are present in the account, believing he will be able to deposit sufficient funds before the debit clears. While many causes of playing the float are done with honest intentions, the time involved in the checks clearing and the difference in the processing of the debits and credits are exploited by those committing check kidding. In other words, you should not write a check if there's no money in there. That's what I used to try to do, play the float, try to balance my money down to the penny. I would try to analyze when the money would clear, and then that would give me enough time to go ahead and write the check, pay my bill, and then in time for my bill to be due, and then when my when my money was there, then it would clear. But a lot of times it didn't work out that way. Another reason why overdrafts occur is because of return check deposits. An account holder deposits a check or money order and the deposited item is returned due to non-sufficient funds or a closed account or being discovered to be counterfeit, stolen, altered, or forged, which happens a lot when you do mobile deposits now. A lot of people are depositing things mobily. And a lot of people are actually, I've encountered a lot of people on the phone where they will actually take a picture of a check that they themselves would write, put it in the bank, get $100 off of that money off the top, because that's what this particular bank, blood-sucking bank, did. They gave you $100 of your money, while the rest of the money cleared. And it usually take about 2-3 weeks for that to clear, because you're only providing the bank with a picture of the check. You're not providing the bank with the actual check. So mobile deposits are done through your phone, okay, by downloading the app, the bank's app, giving them permission to access your impersonal information, and then being able to deposit these checks via mobile banking. So now they have a picture of the check, and a lot of people did that. They would call and complain because the check didn't clear, and they want to know why it's being held, when in fact it was a check that they had wrote. They was trying to capitalize on it. I mean, you think that the banks don't know what they're doing? They're professionals at it. You know, there was a scenario about a joke somebody told and said, guys going into the bank and holding up the bank. He says, "Give me all your money," has a gun pointed at the teller. And the bank president is walking out, he said, he's an amateur. Okay? Okay. Return check deposits. Okay? Okay. Now, as a result of the check chargeback, which it's called, an associated fee that goes along with the insufficient fund, an overdraft will result on a subsequent debit which was reliant on such fund causes 1. An overdraft. This could be due to a deposited item that is known as to be bad, or the customer could be a victim of a bad check or a counterfeit check scam. If the resulting overdraft is too large and cannot be covered in a short period of time, the bank could sue or even press criminal charges. Okay, another reason why overdrafts occur is due to international fraud. An ATM deposit was misrepresented, funds is made, or a check or money order known to be bad or deposited. Okay, see the previous what I just talked about a minute ago, by the account holder, and enough money is debited before the fraud is discovered to result in an overdraft. Once the chargeback is made, that means once the bank gets their money back, the fraud cannot be perpetrated against one's own account, another person's account, or an account set up in another person's name by an identity thief. Another reason why overdraft occurs is due to bank error. A check debit may post for an improper amount due to the human or computer error, so an amount much larger than the maker intended may be removed from the account. Some bank errors can work to the account holder's detriment, but others could work to the account holder's benefit. Another reason why overdrafts occur is because victimization. The account may have been a target of identity theft. This could occur as a result of demand draft, ATM card or debit card fraud, skimming, check forgery, and account takeover or phishing. And I have a book for you on that. The criminal act could cause an overdraft or cause a subsequent debit to cause one. The money or checks from the ATM deposit could also have been stolen, or the envelope lost or stolen, in which case the victim is often denied a remedy. Another reason why overdrafts occur is intraday overdraft. A debit occurs in the customer's account resulting in the overdraft, which is then covered by a credit that posts to the account during the same business day. Whether this actually results in overdraft fees depends on the deposit account holder agreement with the particular blood-sucking bank. Overdraft protection in the U.S. Okay, there's several reasons why overdrafts occur, and those are just a few, and I'm sure you can find some of you on your own. Now, overdraft protection in the U.S. is a financial service offered by banking institutions primarily in the United States. Overdraft or courtesy pay, I call them payday loans really, program protection pays items presented to the customer's account when sufficient funds are not present to cover the amount of the withdrawal. Overdraft protection can cover ATM withdrawals, purchases made with the debit card, electronic transfers, and checks. In the case of the non-pre-authorized items such as a check or an ACH, a withdrawal, you'll hear that a lot, ACH. Overdraft, that's an electronic payment going through, Overdraft protection allows for those items to be paid as opposed to being returned unpaid or bouncing. However, ATM withdrawals and purchases made with a debit or check card are considered pre-authorized and must be paid by the bank when presented, even if this causes an overdraft. Now, overdrafts are paid at the discretion of the blood-sucking bank. Traditionally, the manager of the bank would look at the bank's list of overdrafts each day If the manager saw that the favorite customer had incurred an overdraft, they had the discretion to pay the overdraft for the customer. Banks traditionally did not charge for this coverage. However, it was fully discretionary, so could not be depended upon. And you shouldn't depend on it today either. But you shouldn't spend foolishly and attempt to buy small purchases. If you feel that you have overdraft protection and you're not sure how much it is, I would say go to the bank and take out $1,000. Or go to the bank and take out $500. This way you have a large amount of money, and then you can pay your bills with that large amount, and you'll get charged one overdraft as opposed to 5 or 10 overdraft charges. Okay? The one exception to this so-called forced pay lists, at the beginning of each business day, branch managers often still get a computerized list of all items that are pending rejection. Only for accounts held in their specific branch, city, or state. Generally, if a customer is able to come into the branch with cash or make a transfer to cover the amount of the item pending rejection, the manager can force pay the item. Okay, there are extenuating circumstances which I talk about in my book, Blood-Sucking Banks, which will be available on Lulu.com, Amazon.com, and CreateSpace.com. Okay, overdraft lines of credit. Now this is the form of overdraft protection, which is a contractual relationship in which the bank promises to pay overdrafts up to a certain dollar limit. Usually you apply for this like a loan, and it's credit dependent. So you have to have worthy credit in order to qualify for this. After which the bank checks the consumer's credit and approves then denies the application. Overdraft lines of credit or loans must comply with the Truth in Lending Act. As with linked account, banks typically charge a nominal fee per overdraft. Okay, linked account, also referred to as overdraft transfer protection. A checking account can be linked to another account, like such as a savings account, credit card, or a line of credit in which you apply for. In this particular bank, you apply for a line of credit. And the line of credit and the checking account have the same account number. Okay, you use money from your line of credit and then you pay back. The money that you put in your account goes to paying back that line of credit first before it's into a credit to your account. Then you also have your own checking account in which you have to maintain. Now in some cases the money will pull from your savings account. Now I believe that you can only have it pull from one or the other. I'm not sure if you can have a line of credit and a savings account. Okay, because when you have the money pulled from a savings account, the fee is less and it's your own money. When you have the money being pulled from a line of credit, it's the bank's money and you're being charged a fee. And then there are certain ways in which they pay certain drafts. I believe if it's under $100, it's the entire amount that's paid. If it's over $100, then it's the exact amount. You know, if it's under $100, the whole $100 is dispersed, is released. But if the amount of the transaction from the line of credit exceeds $100, then only the exact amount of that money is paid towards the debit that you are trying to purchase or pay. Okay. Now, a line of credit is a great thing to have because, you know, it gives you, you know exactly how much money you have available, how much money you have to use. You know the terms of the loan, you know how much you have to pay back. It's clearly stated in a line of credit. Whereas overdraft protection is very vague. And with this particular blood-sucking bank, they had what I call smart pay, which is even if you opted out of overdraft protection, which I believe is illegal, they would still allow certain debits and everyday transactions to be cleared at the bank's discretion. And some people would get $1,600, but you wouldn't know it because we as customer service agents weren't allowed to tell them that. I would tell them at your discretion. I say, you see how much you've been spending. Look at your spending history. Look at the history of your spending pattern. Look at how much money was allowed to you in the past, last month. So now you have an idea of how much money that you'll be entitled to this month. So take the whole thing out. Go to the ATM or go to the bank teller and withdraw the entire amount, rather than nickel and diming. And then you're the one that's going to lose because for every transaction, you're paying an overdraft fee, even if it's a penny of the bank's money. As I had said before, even if it's one little red cent that the bank is loaning you. And remember, it is a loan because it's not, you know, it's a loan. Definitely it's a loan. Okay. Now we're going to continue with Okay, now like I said, that has to, now linked accounts is like I said with your savings account. There's also what's called balance protection plan. A more recent product being offered by some blood-sucking banks are called balance protection. Smaller banks, okay, offer plans administered by third-party companies which help the banks gain additional fee income. Larger banks tend not to offer balance protection plans, but instead process overdrafts as disclosed in their account terms and conditions, as I had said earlier. Okay, now transaction processing order. Now I guess we'll be talking about that and continue in the next segment as well. So we're talking about basically overdraft protection. What is overdraft protection? How's overdraft process? And now we're going to be talking about transaction processing orders. Now, the area of controversy with regard to overdraft fees is the order in which a bank pulls transactions to a particular customer's account. This is a controversy or an argument, perhaps, as you can say, because the largest to the smallest processing tends to maximize overdraft occurrences in the customer's account. But in this particular case with this blood-sucking bank, they would pull smallest to highest. Okay, so as I said to you, I don't know if I mentioned it in the beginning, but let's say, for example, you get paid on Friday. You have $1,000 that you deposited into your account. And then you're writing a check for your bills now. Now, each one of those bills are going to bounce because the bank processes low to high. Low to high. So that means the smallest amount of money is going to be credited first. So, because a lot of people call up and said, I just deposited $1,000 in my account and I paid my bills. Why are my checks bouncing? And I said, well, the bank processes low to high. So your low balances are going to post first within that day. However, if you deposit your check today and then you write your checks tomorrow, then your checks will clear. Okay? It will clear in the order that they come in, low to high again. Okay? So, I mean, they were hard on you. They're the hardest of the hardest, and this particular bank is merging with another bank, as you probably know. It's basically public knowledge. But the deal isn't going to be finalized until October 2016 based on approval. It has to be approved. And believe me, if they get enough complaints about all of this stuff that's going down, it might not get approved because they say, well, hey, first of all, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So who do you think you are that you have the right to merge with another bank? Okay, I have a list of over a dozen banks who have had lawsuits filed against them to recover overdraft fees. And we're going to talk about that also in later segments, about how you can fight back and get all your money that they took out, every penny of it. Okay? Because like I said, every bank is different in the way that they process transactions. Okay? Some process, they're supposed to process low to high. Some process high to low. Now, if I process high to low, I put my check for $1,000 in there. That's going to process first. And then all my other little deposits are going to clear. But if I process low to high, I can write 10 checks against my check, and then all of those checks that I wrote are going to bounce. And guess what? You're going to be charging overdraft fee for that. Okay? $39? That ain't no chump change, baby. And you're going to have to pay it back. You're going to have to pay it back. So that means that you'll either be broke or your bills won't get paid, or a combination of both. Okay? Now that basically, like I said, a class action for U.S. Bank Corporation entered into a $55 million settlement agreement on January 16, 2014 over the practice of reordering transactions highest to lowest. In posting debit card transactions, a customer's account and the alleged effect the posting order had on the number of overdraft fees charged to account holders. Bank deposits agreements usually provided that the bank may clear transactions in any order at the bank's discretion. Okay? So they don't have to process low to high, they can process high to low. But now banks process low to high. That means that your low balances are going to post first and the highest balances are going to post last. Okay, and I gave you that scenario just a minute ago about how this particular bank. Now not all banks do that. And I would suggest that, when you find out, you can say, hey, how do you post these bills? If I deposit $5, and the teller may well not know, or they may just not be trained or care enough to even inform you. I want to know, if I deposit a $1,000 check in that account and I pay my bills on that same day, are those checks going to bounce? And the teller might say, no, they're not going to bounce. Why would they if you have $1,000 in the account? So you're thinking, wow, they're not going to clear. May I have your name, please? Okay, on this date, you swore that you told me this information. Okay, so now you go and you say they didn't tell me that. Because that's what a lot of complaints were. The tellers or the relationship manager or what have you would always tell these customers one thing, or they didn't tell them everything. And then when it came time calling the customer service department and they would ask them, and they said, well, they didn't tell me that. And I had to come to the point where it says, man, I don't have nothing to do with what they told you. I'm telling you what I was told to tell you. You have to go back to them. Would you like to talk to them? I can transfer you over there to them. Because I already got tired of them telling me, they didn't tell me that. Well, I'm not going to apologize for what they did or what they didn't say to you. I don't have anything to do with what they told you. You're not going to get me in trouble because of something that they told you. That's not what I'm going to do. Can I have my account number? No, we're not allowed to give account numbers over the phone. Well, the bank, at the branch, they gave it to me. Well, let me connect you over there to the branch then and let them do it for you again. They're not supposed to. You see what I'm saying? So, it's really a tricky situation in terms of, being able to manage your money and with these banks, because you really don't know what you're getting yourself into when you open up an account. Especially now, just keep in mind, though, that if the bank is insured by what you call FDIC, which stands for Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, okay, and usually I think now they can be insured up to $250,000. So if you have $500,000 in the bank, only half of that's going to be insured. So if the bank goes under, you'll get back $250 and you lost the other $250. That's why a lot of people go to different banks. If I have $500,000, I'm going to go to your bank, I'm going to put $250 there, I may put $100 there, and $100, and I just keep $100. Because I like to look at the cash, you know what I'm saying? But, I'm not going to put all my money in each bank. I'm not going to, I don't do it that way. But see that, it's been tricky because banks continually change the way that they process, the way overdrafts are handled. Like I said, they used to do it high to low. Now they do low to high, and it's very effective in terms of the withdrawal fees that are being charged. It's very, very, very effective because, like I said, people, one woman said, I put $1,000 in the account, I deposited in my check. Sometimes they have it direct deposited in there, and then they write checks against their money, and then all of those checks clear. But yet I said, when I tell them, I said, I do see the posting, I do see the amount, I do see the deposits, and I do see your your direct deposit check. However, the bank process is low to high. You know what I mean? So that's the way that goes. So your low balances are going to clear first. And I would always try to advise them, if you want your checks to clear, don't write your checks on the same day that you deposit your money. Deposit your check on Friday, pay your bills on Monday. Because this way you know that all your transactions will clear. Because the bank does not post anything on the weekends or holidays. Okay, now today we've been talking about how overdraft fees and how overdrafts occur. Why do overdrafts occur? And we're going to continue next time with posting order, how things are posted, how transactions are posted. Okay, but these blood-sucking banks are sucking us dry. And we're going to also be talking about how that you can fight back, okay, by yourself. You don't have to go have a whole bunch of people with you or fighting with you in order to fight back and get your money back. Because 9 times out of 10, and I'm not going to skip, so let me keep quiet on that. But I'm going to show you how, in my book, Blood-Sucking Banks, you can fight back on all by your lonesome self. Without a lawyer, you can do it on your own, and you can recover not only the overdraft that they charged you, but you look at your account and you say, wait a minute now, if you had to charge me an overdraft fee, that all those overdraft fees for those monies that I put in my account, all those other checks would not have bounced. And as a result of all those other checks bouncing, more than likely now you have a landslide of checks bouncing. Your whole account is screwed up. Your bills may not have get paid. Did you get evicted out of your apartment because you wasn't able to pay your bills because the bank charged you an overdraft fee? Well, you can sue for that. Anything that happened to you as a result of the banks charging you overdraft fees, or I should say the blood-sucking banks charging you overdraft fees, to your account, where you don't think that they should have done that, then you can take them to court and sue them for that. However, there is option. That's what we give freedom of choice. Take your money out of that bank, close your account, and go to another bank and open up an account. It's as simple as that. Why do you feel that you're obligated to stay with that bank? What have they enticed you with? Have they made promises to you that they're not keeping? Are you happy with the set of services that you're getting from that bank? Take your money out and put it in another bank. These two banks that are merging, you know who they are. They've already been announced. One of them I just got through working for. I was a former employee of them, so I had the inside information on how they operated, and it wasn't too kosher either. You know, I had customers crying on the phone because they didn't have any money, and now they were going to be broke for the next month because they didn't have any money in their account to pay their bills because they were stuck with overdraft fees. No, it wasn't entirely the bank's fault, but it was their fault too because they went out to dinner, they had a party over the weekend, and then you take all your money out of the account, you're thinking that the bank is going to cover all your, you got this armor suit on now that the bank has promised to give you. And it's not all about that. You're spending foolishly. So part of it's your fault too. You're just buying and buying and buying and whatnot and not getting the facts and the details. What they say, an educated consumer is my best customer. An educated consumer is my best customer. I always like to have my consumers educated. You got to know what the facts are before you go to a bank. And like I said before, when I used to, when I have somebody that, I try to work out with them, we all going to meet together. I don't even have to go to your place of business. You come to my office. Okay, I have a customer who's looking to buy a house. Okay, and we want to talk about some of the mortgage terms that's available. So now you come to my office now, whereas I am in control because I am comfortable in my surroundings. If I come to your office, then I'm going to be sitting in your office and I'm subject to your terms and conditions. See, because a lot of times when we go to banks, banks talk gobbledygook, and they talk so fast, and the first thing they're ready to do is either run your credit, get your social security number, or they want to get you to sign these documents. Now wait a minute, I say to you, I don't want to open up a checking account, I don't even want to open up a savings account. And you're going to recommend to me what you think I should open. Well, I done already told you what I wanted, why are you being pushy and obnoxious about it? You know what I mean? So if you feel that way, walk out. Or repeat, sir, I said I don't want to open up a checking account. I only want a savings account. Are you going to be able to open up a set? Well, I recommend this. Well, then how about this? I'll walk out and I don't open up anything. You know what I mean? And you ask them questions. You pick their brain. You get them on the defensive and you ask them, what is it that you need to know? How much is this going to cost me? How much money am I going to end up paying out of my pocket? What are the process? You got to explain this to me. You know what I mean? And I always felt that if I had continued to work for that bank, my goal would have been to see if I could petition to do some workshops to inform customers. And that's what I'm going to start doing. Now that even though I'm not working for them, I have my own company, Affordable Homes and Apartments, which I'm licensed real estate broker of. Okay, and you can visit me. I have a website coming up soon again, and this book will have its own website. My books will have their own, and they'll be on my website. So you'll be able to access the books and everything. And I want to thank you for joining me today because you just got to be careful about these overdraft fees. You just got to be careful how these transactions are processed. Because these banks, and you might want to ask them that. These are not questions that you normally ask because you assume. But like I said, every bank is different. This particular bank, they were the hardest of them all. You have other banks that are not that hard on your transactions. But this bank, these two banks that are going to be merging, honey, they're going to suck the city dry if you let them. They're going to suck the city dry if you let them. And everybody that's working, you're going to be just as broke as you was as if you didn't even have a job. So I want to thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. And I want to encourage you to please join me again next week right here on Time Warner Public Access TV Channel 20. Wednesday is 6:30 to 7. And Saturday is from 12:30 to 1 in the afternoon. And I ask you to holler at a sister. Bloodsucker Banks available on Amazon.com.